Atlantis. Well, some people seem to have a romantic, almost mystical connection to this place from the past. So we're going to look a little bit about where it might have been in this video. And we're going to do it through looking at some megaliths. So we're going to start with Stonehenge. Now here's pictured the famous midsummer solstice where people gather and the sun, goes through the heel stone at Stonehenge and everybody's watching the sun except, oh look, here's a few people that are looking back, which got me to thinking if you kept continuing the line of the sun once it goes through the heel stone, where does that line go, that midsummer solstice line? So if we look across, you can see it takes us right across the Atlantic. Let's let Google Earth show us where. So we're leaving Stonehenge, going across the Atlantic, and there we are at Tiwanaku in Bolivia. And what's there? Well, of course, another megalithic site. Incredible. All right, let's start with probably the most famous megalithic site in the world, the Great Pyramid. Okay, but this time we'll follow the winter solstice line, not the summer solstice. So conceptually, there we are. We're going to look at that line, go right through the Great Pyramid, and see where it takes us. So again, using Google Earth, there we are, leaving Giza, flying across the Atlantic, and coming to where? To Mexico, Teotihuacan. And of course, that's where the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon are, which are aligned just like Khafre's Pyramid in Khufu in Giza. And they're both connected with Orion. Interesting. Okay, so we went from Giza over to Mexico, and then we went from Stonehenge down to Bolivia. And look what happens when you connect those lines. We've got Orion again. So it's all four of them now pointing out the constellation Orion. Well, one thing that could lead us to say, how did those four separate places so far, so in such distant places, before we had planes and cars and all kinds of ways to connect? Well, Thor Heyerdahl showed us. He was a famous explorer, and he got a grant from the National Geographic Society. He got a crew together to basically try and float a raft from Peru, South America, over to the Pacific Islands. He said that the ancients used to do it. They weren't terrified of the oceans the way we were taught that people were afraid they were going to sail off the end of the world. Heyerdahl knew that people used the oceans all the time as highways, and so he wanted to popularize his academic theories by doing something that could catch the eye of the public. And his book, Kon-Tiki, became a bestseller, and the documentary he did about it actually won an Academy Award in the early 1950s. Well, when he was in the naval yard in Peru, the naval authorities helped him get past the wake so he could start on his float, which was successful to the Marquesas Islands, and they told him he was going to die. They said, Mr. Heyerdahl, you and your crew are going to die because the rope that you've used to lash the balsa wood you have there, it's going to bang together and out in the ocean, and your boat's going to fall apart and you're all going to die. Well, he didn't listen to the naval authorities because he had studied how the pre-Incas made their boats, and he trusted the pre-Incas more than the modern naval authorities, and of course he proved to be right. Not as many people know that he also took a boat called the Ra-2 and basically floated from Egypt all the way over to South America. So basically, Heyerdahl can be sort of a model for us about how, just a reminder that the ancients could use the oceans and be in communication with each other. So those megalithic sites, the builders, there could have been one crew of people that sailed to each of those places and helped everybody build those. What's interesting about these megalithic sites is they all thought they were in the middle of the earth. Tiwanaku means stone in the center, an allusion to their belief that they thought they were in the center of the earth. On Graham Hancock's channel, there's an article called Stonehenge, Womb of the Earth. Womb is in the center of a woman. They thought they were the center. And in Teotihuacan, Brian Fagan wrote an article last year calling it the city at the center of the cosmos, because that's what they thought they had. And we'll look at Giza in just a minute. But so what about Atlantis now? Well, where these lines cross, William Zitman said, is near where Atlantis is. So here's a close-up of where our two solstice lines cross, and there you can see circled basically three mountains which look just like the three pyramids that are famous on Giza. You've got two large ones and then a little smaller one offset. But notice it's not in the middle. And William Zitman says that is Atlantis. It's called the meteor crater, but it's not in the center. Atlantis is not in the center. Well, I say that because it's in the center of something. It's in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, gone. So I put a picture of Pompeii here to try and sort of visualize that. You can see that Vesuvius is in the top of this picture coming down to destroy Pompeii. And so it's the fabled Rome was destroyed because of wine, women, and song. Well, it's a natural disaster. People that believe in karma say natural disasters come because of wrong living. And that's what a lot of traditions say happened to Atlantis. Too much evil, too much debauchery, and too much wine, women, and song. So thinking about that question, during the Enlightenment, the Academy of Dijon put out this question as an essay question. Has the restoration of the sciences and arts contributed to the purification of morals? Basically, have all the advances in technology from the Enlightenment, have they led us to be better people? Well, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the famous French Enlightenment thinker, wrote his first discourse in response to that question, and he won the contest. And his answer was basically no. No, we haven't gained better character. We haven't become better people because of the advantages of the Enlightenment, because of the advances of the Enlightenment. Well, same thing is said in the Bible. You know the story about how the flood came, and the flood was a result, the Bible says, of the way people were living. So the one place in the Bible where it gives us a little glimpse of what people were living is in Genesis 4. So let's look at that. And Lamech took unto him 2 wives. So there's the wine, woman, and song. It's generally not a good idea, interpersonally, to be having 2 wives. The name of one was Ada, the other was Zillah. Ada, which means ornament. So you get the idea. There was a lot of makeup, a lot of jewelry and stuff. Well, there's nothing wrong with jewelry, but everybody knows that outward adornment isn't as important as inward adornment, and you don't ever want a society to lose sight of that balance, the golden mean. Well, she bore Jubal. He was the father of all such as handled the harp and the organ. So they liked music, and that's great. Musicians, what a talented thing. It's my wife and I like to go and hear good music, and probably a lot of you go to concerts, but you know what? Again, the golden mean balance. If you let music take you away from the more stronger duties in life, music can be a warped thing. And then Zillah, his other wife, means shade. So you get the idea of drama. We always picture people that are in drama with those masks and stuff. So today, Netflix, YouTube, we got a billion ways you can see things. Again, in context, stories can help us. But done too much, it can take us away from the duties we have in life. She bore Tubal-Cain, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron, so they could make weapons. Obviously, violence, and weaponry can be a terrible thing to the health of a society. And then there's this lyric boast from Lamech. So we get an idea what this guy was like. He said unto his wives, and the Me Too movement would hate this, Ada and Zillah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech. Hearken unto my speech. For I have slain a man to my wounding. Here's a guy boasting about killing somebody, and nobody's doing anything. So violence and lawlessness characterize this time. This guy's boasting about killing something, and nothing happens to him. And then he closes by saying, if Cain shall be avenged 7-fold, truly Lamech 70 and 7-fold. Well, Lamech's making an allusion to what we know that God had said about Cain. Cain was killed, and so God said he'll be avenged 7-fold. So Lamech says, I'm greater than God. If God says 7, then I say 77. So the things we see, this little glimpse in the world, maybe there was too much wine, women, and song, and too much violence, and lack of morals, okay? So now, the Great Pyramid. We didn't talk about that being at the center. The Great Pyramid is in the center. It is in the center of the Earth's landmass. Stonehenge, when it said it was in the center, it's not. Teotihuacan is not. Tiwanaku is not, but the Great Pyramid is in the center of the Earth's landmass. And the Great Pyramid shows that the Creator is pure and true. The phi ratio, the pi ratio, part of the geometry that's inherent in the pyramid. It's pointing to the Creator and the golden mean, really, and pointing to the constellation Orion, as we've said over and over. Bellatrix, the left shoulder of Orion, means the sudden destroying, the swiftly coming. Vesuvius took down Pompeii. So Orion, the very constellation, is a reminder to us that there can be consequences to wrong living. Atlantis is in the bottom of the ocean. The Great Pyramid still stands, warning us. Are you listening?